And now what I've got is a look of the Packer broken out by issue. So this is not actually by month because the Packer obviously has more issues. I believe it's a weekly publication. So now you're actually seeing it by issue and not by month. And I can see each individual advertiser by the issue and what they spent in each issue. Okay. Again, just like the other parts of the system, we can actually drill into each one of these advertisers directly from here, or we could actually drill into the spending per issue. Open that up in a new tab. And now what I'm looking at is the actual order detail line for that particular order that was running in that issue. The 12 issue reports are going to act in the same manner. They're just going to have some different data. So 12 issues advertiser by publication is what you just saw. We could also look at agencies by publication or territory by publication. 12 period reports are going to run based on the period that those publications occur in. So rather than breaking this out by issue, which is very useful with the Packer, this would actually group all the issues that occurred in that period into one line item. So with a weekly publication, that may not be as useful, but with your monthly publications, it may be a more useful report. You can see we've got the same exact reports that we did here, just run by period instead. Okay. The next report we might want to look at, we looked at this orders by issue report, but it specifically is for print. So the last report I really want to go over here is this orders by website. And you can see this looks a lot like the other reporting screens we've seen. There's some questions in the top corner that we need to answer. So we first need to know what website are we looking at. And I am going to select the Drovers Cattle Network. And then we need to know what period of time do we want to look at. I am going to look at just December of last year. And now what I've got is a breakdown report of this website or digital publication or digital item by this date range. Again, I've got some sorts here where I can look at confirmed orders versus reserved orders, or confirmed orders versus quoted orders. As soon as I click these, it is actually resorting the data. I don't have to click the refresh button again. Mention again, you can export these. You'll notice in this particular report, we've actually taken out one of these buttons. Some of these reports, when they run, the fields are too long, and when they export out to Adobe, they break to the next line. And unfortunately, that's part of an Adobe API that we can't edit. So when it breaks coming out of the system, we just determined it's actually better to take that button away than for you to be able to run a broken report. However, the good news is all of the reports work in Excel, so you're always going to see the Excel button there. Okay? So this is really the last publication, sorry, the last report. Sorry, a question just came in. This appears to be a campaign total, not just 1 month. Let's see. It is, let's check that out. I would expect it to only be the part of that campaign that actually ran in that month, but let me verify that that is correct. So that is the campaign total. I think there is some logic behind that, but I don't exactly know. So that's a great question. Let me follow up and find out what is the logic behind this actually displaying the entire campaign amount rather than just the part of the campaign that occurred during this month. There may be something that I'm missing that actually is a reason this runs this way. So let me actually get back to you. I'm going to make a note of that, and I can follow up with Zach with that information after this. But I am not sure exactly why that works that way. It's a great question. By website, okay? And Zach's showing, it may be showing that way because of the line items in the campaign. It's possible that it is showing that because this is the way the campaign was built, but likely it's something else. So I don't want to just give you an answer that's not correct. So I do want to follow up with someone and see what the logic behind this particular screen is and get back to you on that. I'm sure there's some great answer, and I want to get you the correct one. So I'm going to get back to you on that one. Okay? But for now, yes, what Rick mentioned is correct. This screen is displaying the total amount for the entire campaign, not just the part that occurred during that time period. Okay? So for what I had scheduled to show you guys today in reports, we have kind of reached the end of what I typically want to show you without giving you too much to remember. So I want to open this up now to Q&A about some things I might have missed. If there's a report that you've been looking for in the system that I didn't cover today, or if there's just some general confusion about something I went over, I want to open this up now for you guys. Okay, if you have any suggestions that you've seen as I've gone through this, I am the person you might want to talk to, as I do have the ability to kind of lead the direction of where the system goes in the future. So if you have any ideas, this is also a good time to talk about those.
Actually, Brandon, this is Nancy.
Hi, Nancy.
In regards to your orders by website, I'm looking at that, and there may be a reason they're by campaign. If you look at the description, it's showing for each individual, spot on the website. So medium, rectangle, and I can't tell by this because it's not in the packer, but when I looked at at hours, I pulled up hours for the packer from 1/1 to 1/31, and if you look in the description, in hours anyway, it shows organic 3, content ad 1, for homegrown it shows web 6, rectangle 2. So they're all showing per placement of that particular spot on the website. That's what it's doing. And it's giving you, like if you pick up West Coast tomato, I mean, it's going to show you 1/1 to 1/31, the actual, description, and then that'll be by itself. But there are campaigns in there that same spot throughout the year, and those will show by placement in the website.
Yeah, and I think you're right. As I hear you talk about this, this report is meant to be more of a what ran on the website for this period of time. So it is broken out by, like you said, the description of what is actually running on this website for this period of time. What I think Rick was asking is on the financial aspect at the end here, is these amounts would not be incredibly useful to you if you were looking for the total of what was sold during this period of time, because the total would actually be a total of the entire campaign. But I think what you're saying is correct. It is showing orders or line items that actually ran in the packer during December. So each one of these did actually run on the packer during this period of time. And again, I think
Right.
what Rick was asking is the total here. Why is the total, the estimated amount or the actual amount, the total amount? And that's the part I don't have a great answer to. But I think you're absolutely correct. This is breaking it out by particular item that ran on the website.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
okay.
And that may be the answer that I'm going to get back. Is this report is really meant to be what inventory ran on the website during this period of time, and not what financials or what was sold during this period of time. So the different reports really do have different functions. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's
I agree. Okay. Thanks.
Okay. No, thank you. Okay, I do like this question, Rick. Can we get a report showing January print issue, showing revenue 2014 versus 2013 by advertiser, so we can identify who is in the book and who is not in the book? It's a great question, and absolutely. In the advertising analysis section, and in the publication analysis, I believe, just one second. It's one or the other report. It's not this one. So sorry. Ignore the man behind the curtain. Let me find this report for you real quick. Okay. So under advertising, in advertising analysis, we've got this report that was review orders for an issue. I told you it is more of a view report, but I forgot about this small piece that this report has that the other one doesn't. If I go under review orders for an advertiser, I now have the same questions I'm accustomed to seeing. I need to select a publication. I'll try to select the Packard. Get down here. And I need to select an issue. Let's select this issue. And click my refresh button. And so what I'm looking at now is an issue analysis of the Packer for this particular issue. Okay, I do have my this year's versus last year numbers here, but what Rick is asking for is actually what advertisers are missing from the book this year. And if I scroll down here and I look at this section where these advertisers are, next to the orders tab, there's actually a tab that says missing from, and it's tied to the same issue last year. So this, if you see one of these issues that doesn't seem to match, these issues are actually tied in the back end and can be changed. But what the system is doing is it's reaching out to the issue we have tied to last year. And here are all the advertisers that were in the book last year that are not currently in the book this year. So I think, Rick, this is what you're asking for, and this is a super useful tool. If they advertised in this issue last year, there's probably a good chance they might want to advertise in the issue this year. And there's a good chance I should at least reach out to them, or that I at least want to know what sales I've lost or what sales I'm missing. So
can that be applied towards sections, or is it only towards the total issue?
Brandon, we also have another issue with the Packer, because the Packer's made up of 3 different pubs. So is there any way to make analysis by a group rather than just by one of the pubs?
So inside of the CRM, the answer to that question, I believe, is no. So there's no way in the CRM for me to take this report and say I want multiple publications. However, the tool Informer, I don't know if you guys have heard about Informer. In Informer, I can absolutely build that report where we do combine the publications. Another way that might be useful to you to actually do this is now that you can easily export this data by an issue, you could just export this into Excel and then combine the two together to actually get a true analysis of what's going on in the Packer as a whole. So it's not a great solution in the CRM to export the 3 publications and then put them together, but it would work, and it would not require you actually going out to our reporting tool of Informer. If you have access to Informer, that is actually a report we could build, where I can say, go out and grab these 3 publications, put them all together, and then I want to report based on that. So that's kind of a business decision, and I'm not sure how much access you guys have to Informer, but if you do, that is definitely a report that I think we could make, because they're all print publications, correct? They're all part of the Packer, and we've set those up as just different print publications. I believe that's because in reviewing the files in your account, the Packer, some of these different inserts that actually go into it have different sizes or different ad types. So we actually set them up as different publications. Is that correct? But it's all part of the same book, really. Okay. I think that's what Raymond and Wayne had let me know. So,
Connie, you going to speak up there?
Your account.
Connie? Yes, you did.
So Nancy.
Yeah.
So Nancy says, yes, build that report for us, please. That is something I can talk to Zach about setting that up in Informer.
That report is built in. That report is built in Informer. There's a sales manager report built there.
Right.
Informer
I thought
has
there was,
reporting.
and if for some reason, a specific user wanted the report to only run the Packer every time, I could show you guys how to say, hey, this user actually only sees the Packer's publications. But you're absolutely correct. That report's already in Informer.
Yeah.
Are you going to go over
year-over-year analysis.
I heard someone just attempt to talk, but we couldn't understand anything you said.
Are you going to go over Informer?
Sorry, could you repeat
People
that?
was talking at the time.
Go, Connie.
Go ahead.
I was just going to ask if he was going to go over the Informer reporting next week.
If we have time, I can add that to the end of our schedule. And if that's something you guys have access to, we could go over some of those reports in brief. The order entry proposals and opportunities will take quite a bit of time, but it's certainly something I can try to aim for. Maybe we can cut something out and get into it Informer at least a little bit. Absolutely, I can add that to the schedule.
Yeah, just a brief, here's Informer, here's how you run a report would be, great for a lot of people. Just a basic, here's how you get there, here's what you do.
I think that would probably be beneficial for both groups, Brandon. We could try to do that for the salon group as well.
That's great. I'll make a note of that, and I will add that to our schedule for next week.
Thank you.
No problem. So Rick was just getting a little bit of a clarification to his question about this report of this year versus last year and missing from the book. What Rick was asking is there a place where I can actually see this particular advertiser, what they advertised last year, what they advertised this year? And the answer is yes, per advertiser. I don't actually have a report, at least not that I know of, that combines all advertisers. So I think what Rick is asking, and Rick, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but if I'm in a customer, I do have this idea.
Hey, Brandon.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I just figured I'd take it off mute and just ask you rather than emailing here. What I'm trying to do is in that issue analysis, where I'm looking at the January issue of Drovers, for example, and I use that missing advertiser tab all the time. But what I'm really looking for is when I've got $100,000 in sales for that January issue of Drovers, but my budget's $120,000. The question comes in: why are we short, and who is short? And I'm trying to quickly identify why we're short, who is short, and try and get on top of that so we can try and corrective situations. I just can't find that report. So maybe it's in Informer, but I can't find anywhere where that issue analysis is showing me the dollar volume changes year over year for each of the advertisers.
Per advertiser. So I know what we were just about to pop into is I know inside the advertiser record, we can certainly see that, the year over year, what's changed from last year to this year. But from this report, I'm not sure if it's actually comparing those two things. Let me see if there's a report that I'm not aware of. I don't think that's currently a report, but there may be a report that I haven't used before. So I'm going to look into that. And what I was going to show you is obviously we have this report, which you're using, and then on the customer screen, this Add Sales tab, which we went over, I can click into the publication or the year, and I can see their ad spending this year versus last year, and then I could then export that and kind of comb that down by publication. But that's per advertiser, so I'm not sure, that would take a lot of time to go through each one. So I don't love that for an answer, so I am going to see if there's a report that maybe I haven't used before that can accomplish that goal. If not, it is possible we could build it in Informer, although this year versus last year reports are a little bit tougher because they require multiple passes through the system. But let me follow up with someone who has used this reporting tool a little bit more than me and see if I can get you a better answer. Because I can see where that would be incredibly helpful, not just seeing what's missing from the book, but how much is missing per advertiser. What's the change per advertiser? So
exactly.
It may just be,
That's huge.
Right,
so
and I look at it both ways. Who are we slipping with? Who's down, but also who are we doing well with? So there's, I want to see the positive variance as well.
Oh yeah, who's up? Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Let me see if there's a way for this report, which we just went over, to morph into what you're asking for. I think there's certainly some value there. So I will get back to Zach with that information, and he can distribute it to the people who he thinks it's going to be useful to, because I think that's a great question. Any more questions on the reporting?
Was that last question from Rick Patton?
Yes.
Okay. I did see another question come through with a message there.
When we would use the ad summary in the CRM versus Informer, can you please explain? So using a report in the CRM versus using a report in Informer is kind of the question, and an ad summary. The reports that are already in the CRM really are the idea of, here's the report, we've built it this way, you can sort the fields differently, you can export it and manipulate it, but you really can't change the reports that we've built into the CRM. So if you don't like the way the report is, there's not a lot I can do about that. It's a built-in report. All the clients have this, so it's a little bit standard. If you have something that's unique to your company, or some kind of report, some kind of field that you want added to this rep summary report, then typically what we do is we go out to Informer and we say, okay, we're going to use the summary analysis in Informer, and then we can customize Informer for you. So a lot of the times, if you don't like the standard reporting that we have in the system, rather than edit the system for something that may be specific to you, we actually go out to Informer and we can edit your Informer account and leave other clients' Informer accounts the way they are and not actually change the system. So we leave these screens very neat, and we leave some of the reports in the system very neat and pretty, and somewhat general. So we find that some of our clients do need some specific fields that we don't currently use, or maybe you even have a custom field that you've had us build that's not going to be displayed on this report. So that's really the difference between some of the CRM reports I've shown you today and some of the Informer reports. And for those of you who are not familiar with Informer, it is a reporting tool that accesses your entire database. It is a reporting tool that is essentially a blank slate. So if there's some kind of report that maybe you're the only company in the whole country that uses it and you need it to be created, Informer is typically where we create those reports because we're able to create custom reports for you and push them out to you whenever you need them. Okay? Also in Informer, there is the idea of I can create a report and then each user can have different criteria. So in the system, if I go in and I run an issue analysis, my issue analysis is going to come up the same way everyone else's issue analysis comes up. In Informer, I can actually say when I log in and run this analysis report, I like it to be sorted A to Z, and my report will always be run A to Z. Someone else may say, I like it to be sorted with the highest amounts at the top and the lowest amounts at the bottom, and every time they run the report, they would actually see that data sorted that way. So Informer, there's a lot more customization even per user. Each user can run a report in a different way. That's great. Rick, I'll take that, that data you just sent about the reports, and I'll try to see if there's something that fits that criteria, and if not, what it would take to get something like that done, because I really do like that idea. So thank you for sending that over. So it's almost 3 o'clock. You guys have listened to me for a very long time. I hope it was helpful. I hope we've pointed out some things that can be useful. I know it's a lot to take in a very short period of time. So if you think of something that you haven't asked me, or something you think was just a question that's specific to you that you didn't want to ask in the meeting, please pass those on to Zach or to someone so that they can get to me, and we'll get them answered right away. I want to make sure that you guys have all the tools to make the system work for you. So if there's anything tomorrow, you wake up in the middle of the night and realize you use this report all the time and didn't ask about it, just shoot that over, and we'll try to get you an answer as quickly as possible. And if nothing else, we do meet again next week, and we can talk about some of those things then. Okay? Guys, I appreciate you being on the call so long. Another couple of minutes as people drop off. If there's something you'd like to talk about, just be here for another few minutes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I am going to training. It'll kind of just mention some of the things we're going to go through based on the two groups, and I'll add Informer to that. I actually did that for these trainings. I need to send those over to you so you do have an idea of kind of what we went through today as well. But that way you'll have a list on it. Let me know. Someone just asked if we can explain where we can access the recording of this call. So there's a couple of good things. Throughout the system, I did show you those training videos. Essentially what I've talked about today is what's stored in most of those videos. However, the portions of the call that I did record today of this meeting, I will post somewhere where I'll send them over to Zach so that he can distribute them. Unfortunately, we did miss a little bit of the beginning of this, but the majority of this should be recorded. So the question that just popped up is, can you show us where those videos are again? On a particular screen, just going to go
maybe go over how to turn them on again first.
Yeah, absolutely. So If they're turned on, you will see these little green TVs all over the system. If you're not seeing them, in the top right-hand corner of your screen, you'll see a logout, the email integration, and then a TV that looks like a YouTube TV. If it's white, all you need to do is click it, click OK, and it will actually turn the videos on for you. And then any screen you're actually in, the videos automatically appear next to the topic they discuss. Again, if I just click the green, it's going to pull up the YouTube video, and you get to listen to someone talk about that particular topic. If there's something out there where you find yourself always asking, oh man, I never remember what this quite is, but there's not a video next to it, please let me know. We are making new videos all the time, so if it's something that's a priority to you, I can certainly move it up the list and we can get that video added. Okay? And Zach, it's a great question. When I get these recordings done, I think they're files I can send to you. If they're too large, I may have to post them somewhere and send you a link. So we'll work on that once we hop off the call. I've never actually recorded with join.me before, so.
All right, we'll get that figured out.
Good deal. I don't know how many people we have left on the call. It may just be Zach and I left, so I will wait on a few more minutes in case you have a couple of questions, and if not, see you guys next week.